So we're starting Be'ezra Hashem Siman Tzadik Daled and haGuela, and this is going to be another reason not to go to the kotel. The subject of the kotel started in Peches. There he brought that you're not supposed to be Mekabel a minig from a Rasha, and then after that in Tzadik Petes, continued with that. Tzadik Aleph, you're not allowed to have Hanoah from the minim in a ruchnistic thing. And Tzadik Aleph also, he said you're not allowed to have Hanoah even in a davar gashmi, even a physical thing, like he said Chanina rode on a donkey belonging to the minim, and they told him to leave Eretz Yisrael because of that. And then Tzadik Beis, he spoke about the kotel becoming a place of pritzes. And Tzadik Gimel, he talked about the archaeology going on at the kotel, people wanting to dig underneath and invade the Temple Mount area. And all that is done under the cover of the fact that people are so happy that they get to daven at the kotel, so they don't say anything against what the Zionists do. Okay, Tzadik Dal. The oid yesh boi tam noisef. Another reason not to go. Al pi maimra kasuv, based on the pasuk. Pasuk in Yeshaya, it should learn it for Shabbos Chazoin. Ki savoyu le'rois panai mi vikesh dois miyedchem remois chatzerai. Hashem says, when he's upset with the Yidden during the time of Bayis Rishon, he says, when you come to do the mitzvah of Aliyah L'Regel, and you come to the Beis HaMikdash, who asked you to come and trample my courtyards? Pirish Rashi, Lirmoi says Chatzerai, Acharei she'en levavchem shalem imi. Because your hearts are not complete with me, you're not completely lishma, completely with me, therefore I don't want your mitzvah of coming Aliyah L'Regel. V'haradak pirish ki savoyu le'rois panai b'shalosh regalim. He says it's talking about the shalosh regalim when they come up to be Aliyah L'Regel. Zuha re'iyah mi biksha miyelchem. This re'iyah, this coming up, this appearance in the Beis HaMikdash, who asked you to do it? Shetavoyu lefanai v'tamru es devarai. That you should come in front of me and then go and violate my words. Eini choshev zeh lachem l'kavod el bizayin. I don't consider this an honor from you, but an insult. Shetir mesu chatzerai. You trample the courtyards ad kan l'shoinai. Ukvar amadati kematmiya b'direi Rashi v'redak elu. Rebbe says, I already asked this kasha in other places. What's pshat in this Rashi and this redak? The l'choyer kivan sheba mitzvahs re'iyah ein muzkar b'kra shum tam. The Torah doesn't say the reason for being Aliyah L'Regel. Im kein hakol chayavim b're'iyah. Everybody's chayav to do it. Ve'ein tam li yipater mimena b'shvil she'ein levavchem shalem imi. You can't say that someone's pater from doing it or shouldn't do the mitzvah just because he's not on the highest madrega of lishma, or because he has averis. Rashi says he's not lishma, and Radak says he has other averis. So he says, obviously, according to Rashi, lishma is a high madrega. How many people can claim that they're on that level? So just because you're not on that level, you shouldn't do a mitzvah. And even the Radak, that it's not an honor for me that you come to do the mitzvah. Does the Torah say the reason for the mitzvah is honor, honoring Hashem? We don't base any halacha on the reasons for a mitzvah if it's not written b'feish in the Torah what the reason is. If it is written b'feish, then there's a machlokes. But for sure, if it's not written b'feish, you don't darshan time of the krah. You don't say, oh, because of this, the Torah said it, so therefore, if you're not going to be mechabed Hashem, you don't have to do it. And we don't know the reasons for the Creator of the world. Rambam says in Perek Tes Vav Hilchos Nesias Kapayim, he's talking about duchenin. So he says, "B'koyin shahayu abrios miranani machrov." If you have a kohen that has bad rumors going around about him, ein moinim moisoi miliso es kapov. We don't prevent him from duchenin. L'fi shazu mitzvah saseh al kol kohen. Every kohen has a mitzvah to duchen. V'yein oimrim la'adam rasha hoisif resha v'himana mina mitzvahs. We don't tell someone who's a rasha to be a bigger rasha and to stop doing a mitzvah. If he's a rasha in other things, at least do this. At least do this mitzvah. Ad kan l'shoyna. If a kohen, there's a halach. If a kohen killed someone who did the noose, he can't be noises kappa. But here we're talking about, in general, people say bad things about him. That's not enough of a reason. He has to mamash do a big aveir. So because he's a rasha, you don't let him do another mitzvah. So here too, because these people in the Bayis Rishon times were doing, let's say, avodah zara, whatever aveirs they had, shlichus damim, terrible things. But because of that, you should tell them, don't do this mitzvah of aliyah l'regel. U'kemoikein b'mitzvahs ru'iyah ein tam l'choyte lihimana mimena. Here also, the mitzvah of aliyah l'regel, there's no reason for a sinner to abstain from that mitzvah. U'lahoisif al chatasei pesha, and to do another aveira on top of what he has already. U'v'yoiser kasha al mash pirish Rashi. The question on Rashi is even bigger, because Rashi says she'ein levavchem shalom imi, that your hearts are not complete with me, they're not lishma. So, in fact, the rebbe, any mitzvah that you do shaloi lishma, forget about aliyah l'regel, any mitzvah, if you do it shaloi lishma, you're not completely with Hashem, you're doing it for your own ulterior motives. The famous statement of Chazal is that you should always do mitzvahs, even if you're not going to do it lishma, you should still do it, because shemitoich shaloi lishma ba'al lishma. The ayin b'sifri vayol Moshe ma'im rebeisim and mem ches mem hey masha halesi l'taret kushizu. The Rebbe speaks about it over there and says terutzim, but here he's going to say different terutzim. So let's see what they are. V'nirali liyashiv adikdukim now. So I'm on the next page now. So to answer up these questions, Al pi ma shekasav kedushas zakeni yismach Moshe Zecher Tzadik Levracha Zichron Levracha Parshas Korach b'Shem Sefer Ir Binyamin Al ma she'amru Chazal v'yasu li mikdash li lishmi. So he's bringing down a Yismach Moshe, who in turn is bringing down another sefer called Ir Binyamin, who speaks about this Chazal that says, the pasuk says, "Make me a mikdash," Parshas Truma. So Chazal darshan li lishmi, make it lishmi, meaning make it lishma. Don't do it for your own motives. So the kasha is l'chayra halay kol mitzvahs tzrichim liyois nasim lishma. All mitzvahs have to be done lishma. Ideally, right? But yeah, but if you don't do it lishma, it's also good. But all mitzvahs have to be lishma. So v'lam appear that cost of mikdash davka. So his question is, why by the base of mikdash are we especially interested in having it be lishma? This ties in similar to what we're talking about here. We're talking about aliyah l'regel, base of mikdash. Why it has to be lishma? Why does it have to be lishma? Same question. So he says, "Upirish al pi Gemara." The Ir Binyamin explains this based on the Gemara. Psachim daf nunam base. Rava Rami. Rava posed a contradiction. Ksiv me'al shamayim chastecha. It says in the pasuk, we say this pasuk in Slichas, Ki gadol me'al shamayim chastecha v'ad shchakim mamitecha. Your chesed is higher than shamayim, and it's up till the shchakim. Okay, so it's kind of a steer, right? First it says your chesed is above shamayim, it's higher than shamayim, and then it says no, it's only up till shchakim is another word for shamayim. So it's only up till shamayim. So the answer is mashani kan be'oisin lishma, v'kan be'oisin shaloi lishma. The Gemara answers, one's talking about lishma, and one's talking shaloi lishma. So if you do a mitzvah lishma, your schar is going to be above the heavens. If you do it shaloi lishma, it's only up till the heavens. Okay, that's the Gemara in Psachim. Upirish hagoyin b'chedushay agadas. The Goyin, the Marsha, says in Chedushay Agadas, Shekol ha'oiseh mitzvah shaloi lishma. Anyone who does a mitzvah that's not lishma, eino zoicha rak l'rekia shchakim. He only gets up to the level of shchakim. There's different rekiyas. if you look at this, I brought here. Yeah, so in the Gemara in Chagiga, Daf Yud Beis in the base, it says, Reish Lakish says there's 7 Shemaims, there's 7 levels of heaven. Vilon, Rekia, this is from bottom to top. Vilon, Rekia, Shchakim, Zvul, Ma'oin, Machoin, and Aravos. Okay, like we say, Roichev Aravos. Hashem is Roichev Aravos. In the Zmiris, Shabbos. So, the 4th level is Zvul. The 3rd level is Shchakim. So Zvul is above Shchakim. So this is what he says. V'lachein b'mikdash u'v'mishkan she'amru zal. The mikdash and the base of mikdash and the mishkan, they say mikdash shalamata mechuven keneged base of mikdash shalamala. The base of mikdash down here on earth is opposite the base of mikdash in heaven. U'mikdash shalamala hu b'zvul. The base of mikdash above is in the level of heaven that's called Zvul. Shehu l'mala mishchakim. It's a higher level than Shchakim. Al kain he's hira ha'torah kan bepratius. Therefore, the Torah says specifically here, shiyasu lishma. Got to do it lishma. Why? Kedei shiyagia haschus ad Zvul. You should get schus up to the level of Zvul. Shehu l'mala mishchakim. Ad kan l'shonah. So if you do shaloi lishma, you only get to Shchakim. So you got to do lishma, and then you'll get above Shchakim. Me'al shamayim chastecha, you'll get to Zvul. That's the Be'ir Binyamin's Vort, quoted by the Yismach Moshe. Now, you had a little trouble finding this inside exactly the way he says it. So take a look. Maybe you have the Gemara Pesachim here. This is one copy. Maybe you have another copy. Let's see. Yeah, I have a copy. First, look at the Gemara. It's about 6 lines before the Gemara spreads out. So it says in the middle of the line, Rava Rami. Rava asked a contradiction. Ksiv ki gadol ad shamayim chastecha. Your chesed is up till shamayim. Uksiv ki gadol me'al shamayim chastecha. So the first thing to notice is it's not exactly the way he quotes it. He quotes it that Rav is asking a steer, right, like within the same pasuk. It's all one pasuk. Here the Gemara is finding 2 different psukim, one in Tehillim Nun Zayin and one in Tehillim Kuf Ches, where one says Ki gadol ad shamayim chastecha and the other one says Ki gadol me'al shamayim chastecha. So that's the steer. And then the Gemara answers, Ha ketzad. How could you answer this? Kan b'oisin lishma, v'kan b'oisin shaloi lishma. That's first of all. Secondly, what's important to note here is at the end of the psukim, both of them end with the same way. They end with ad shchakim amitecha. So it's true what he says, that it says ad shchakim. It's just at the beginning of the psukim, one says me'al and one says ad. Okay, now look at the Marsha. Yeah, another one here. Let's see. Yeah, Marsha. Uksiv ki gadol me'al she'oisin lishma mevur. We see from this Gemara ki ha'oisa shaloi lishma. You do it not lishma dahainu l'shum tachlis shalamata. You do it for some earthly purpose, not for Hashem. You're just not miskaven for the bad, because that's not good at all. If you do a mitzvah for a bad reason, like someone who learns, the Gemara gives an example, someone who learns Torah in order to slug it up, or to argue with people and to show that he's smarter, and then show that he can defeat the Chachamim. That kind of purpose is bad. That's not even Shaloi Lishma. But Shaloi Lishma means you're doing it for, let's say, to get honor, to get money. Kamash Kasva Toisus makes this distinction, Brachas. He says, Ein chesed shaloi ba'olam hazeh magia rak ba'olam hatachtoin. His chesed doesn't reach, it only reaches in the lower world, the hainu ad shamayim. it's only in this world. So the chesed that Hashem pays him back with is only here and now in the world that we're living in now. But if he does it lishma, and his purpose is above this world, his reward will come from above the Shemayim. What does that mean exactly? Does it mean Olam Haba? I'm not sure. Because look what he continues. He says, if a tartik hani cry, both of these psukim, Messiah behu, it ends off, the ad shchakim amitecha. Dahainu schar shel tzadikim ba'olam haba mikri amitecha. The truth means the schar in olam haba, the tarvayu bein oisnim lishma, ubein oisnim shaloi lishma, yizku l'schar shel ba'olam haba. Both these people will get equal schar in olam haba. It's only in olam hazeh that they have a difference between them. But in olam haba, they're both going to be ad shchakim. Dahainu ad shchakim k'moy shekasi b'perkei darshim, as it says in the Gemara in Chagiga. It says the rakia shlishi, the third level of Shemaim, is mikri shchakim. Ayin sham sheboy shoychakim man l'tzadikim l'olam haba, because that's the place where the man is ground up for the tzadikim in olam haba. Whatever exactly that means. So the Maharsha doesn't sound like he's saying what he's quoted as saying. So, discussed this with different people, Menashe Philip and other people who are experts on this sefer, and the conclusion was that the Ir Binyamin is not really quoting the whole Maharsha. He's just quoting part of it. He's just taking out this one concept that there's a place called Shchakim, which is the third level, and that the schar goes up to shchakim. But he takes that out and borrows it in order to answer up this question within the pasuk itself. And he says the pasuk itself is a stira, and the answer is that ad shchakim is if you do a shloi lishma, but if you do lishma, you get even higher than the shchakim. So he's basically saying his own vart, but he's borrowing one line from the Maharsha. If you want, I have the Yismach Moshe here, but it's basically word for word as the Rebbe quotes it. He quotes it exact. The question is what exactly Ir Binyamin said, and I don't even know what sefer this Ir Binyamin is. I have the sefer here. It's called Ir Binyamin. I got from Hebrew books, and it doesn't. It says something about this pasuk in this Gemara, but it's not exactly the same as this either. So, don't know. Have to look for it. Okay, continuing along. Umatzasi k'tzas smach loze. But what is the Rebbe's point here? Just getting back to the subject of the kotel. What's his point? What do you think his point is? That when people go to the kotel, they're not going purely lishma. They're going because of the political reasons. Let's say they have that thing on Yerushalayim, Yom Yerushalayim, right? Dance at the kotel. They go for other reasons. They have IDF inductions and bar mitzvah at the kotel. There's like a lot of things people do. Maybe that's okay, but I'm saying like in general they do like things that are not there for the holiness of the kotel. They're more there to show that we're in charge of the kotel, and that's our pride and glory. We conquered it. So that's shalom lishma, and you shouldn't do it if it's shalom lishma. Okay, and then he continues. In Matzasi k'tzas smach lazeh nimasha kaseb b'Yerushalmi. I have another ride to this from the Yerushalmi. Perek Daled Brachos Halacha Hey. Yechaven es liboy keneged beis kodesh kodashim. It says that if you're davening, you daven to the east. If you're davening in Eretz Yisrael, you daven towards Yerushalayim. If you're in Yerushalayim, you face the Beis Hamikdash. And if you're in the Beis Hamikdash, you face the Kodesh HaKodashim. So that's Bavli, Gemara, everywhere. But Yerushalmi gets more specific about it. Yerushalmi says, Le'ezeh beis kodesh HaKodashim. Which Kodesh HaKodashim should you face? Which one? The one on earth or the one in the sky? So Reb Chia the great, Omar Keneged Kodesh HaKodashim Shel Malvan. You face the one that's in the sky. And Reb Shimon ben Chalafta, Omar Keneged beis kodesh HaKodashim Shel Matan. You face the one that's in the earth. What's the nafkamina? You turn your body upwards. What does it mean? So Omar Pinchas loy pligim. They're not really arguing. They're really agreeing on the halacha. Beis kodesh HaKodashim Shel Matan, mchuven Keneged beis kodesh HaKodashim Shel Malvan. it's opposite. The Beis Hamikdash up in Shemaim is opposite the one down here. So it's not really they're not really saying different halacha. They both agree that you're supposed to face the Kodesh HaKadoshim. The question is more like, what do you have in mind? So Mavur, wait, I skipped a few words. Machain l'shivtecha. It says in the Shira, Machain l'shivtecha po'alta Hashem. So we darshan mechuvan. Machain is like word mechuvan, keneged shivtecha. It's opposite the place where Hashem sits. Ad kan. Mavur deheicha shetzarich l'chavin l'kodesh HaKadoshim. When you're davening and you have to think about the kodesh HaKadoshim, bo'inen shetiya kavana l'kodesh HaKadoshim shal mala. You're supposed to think about the one in Shemaim. And there's another Mandi Amr that's supposed to think about the one in the arts. So what are they arguing? He says, "Ve'efshir the Mandi Amr l'kodesh HaKadoshim shal malon ma'iri b'mechaven lishma." One is talking when you're mechaven lishma. V'oz oile magi haschus ad kodesh HaKadoshim shal malon. Like we said before, the schus goes up. Mandi Amr l'kodesh HaKadoshim shal mata ma'iri be'eino mechaven lishma. So they're really not disagreeing at all. They're just talking about different kinds of people. If you're not able to be mechaven so high, you're just mechaven to the physical place. The kol zeh b'inyan tefillah. That's talking about davening. That's not talking about actually visiting the Beis Hamikdash. Aval b'inyan hamikdash tzarich sheyeh lishma davka. When you go to the Beis Hamikdash, do oil regel, the mitzvah of riyah. Davka. Aval b'inyan hamikdash tzarich sheyeh lishma davka. It has to be lishma. Sheyagia haschus the Beis Hamikdash shalamala. Canal. It has to be that the schus goes up above. So, interestingly, in the Torah, they copy the exact word for word transcription of how the Rebbe said it. He didn't say any more on this subject. He stopped here. He said basically, this is all talking about Aliyah the Regel, which is a mitzvah. So, Avada, there's a mitzvah to go. You can't tell me. You can't tell me that you don't have to do it because you have an aveira, you have not a bad kavana. And then his teretz is this, or maybe the other terutzim he's going to say. He says all those terutzim are only necessary when there's a mitzvah. Then we have this problem that how could you tell a person not to do a mitzvah? But going to the kotel is not even a mitzvah. So if you're not lishma, then don't go. You don't need any terutzim for that. You need these terutzim when it comes to aliyah l'regel. It's a mitzvah. So that's what he says there. That's why he stops. When they wrote the Sefer, most of the Sefer is based on the actual Torah, but here they were marich a little more and put more in that wasn't in the original Torah. This simon going all the way until they're starting in Tzadik Ches. The Rebbe added things in his own Tzav Yad. They put into the Sefer. Tzadik Ches until the end of Kuf Aleph. Ad kan miksav yad kotel. Interestingly enough, they even say there's a picture of it. It says, you can see it on page Reish Chaf Gimel. I don't know if you have that version, but if you look at the end, you can see this simon written in the Rebbe's handwriting. It's over here at the end, very end of the Sefer. Here. Yeah, you might have it too.